Hello? Yep, there you go.
Am I on? It's a big day, folks. Welcome. All right. Good afternoon, fellow COC members, and to all the members of the public who have joined us today. Today is August 15th, 2024. Welcome to the ULA. Welcome to the United to House LA Citizens Oversight Committee. It is now 2:06. 2:36. Thank you very much. We have a very packed agenda, and out of respect to our hosts here at Metro, and also for your time, we hope to join this regular meeting before 5:30. 5:30, yes. Before roll call, please afford me a few housekeeping comments. For members of the public who wish to speak during public comment, if you haven't done so already, please take a public speaker card. And where are the speaker cards being handed out? Over here.
Who has the speaker cards? Raise a hand, please.
Who has the speaker cards? Okay. All right. Great. Hand it to an LAHD staff. And if you're joining the meeting virtually and would like to make a public comment, please refer to the instructions on the agenda on how to place yourself in the virtual queue. As always, we welcome and encourage public comment, as your voice is vital in how we shape our policies and direction. Thank you all for your commitment, and we want everyone to be heard. However, to ensure that the committee has ample time to vet and deliberate the issues on today's agenda, and they are mighty issues, we request the following. If members of a group or organization are going to be repeating the same message, please consider picking one or two folks to communicate that message so that we end up with as much time as possible to discuss, among other things, your points. We want and need to hear from you, but we need to move forward with the work of ULA. And I ask you all to work with me to help make sure that we can do that. Speaking time will be limited to 1 minute. Will be 2 minutes. Please, though, we do have a very packed agenda, so to the extent that you can delegate a speaker, that would be great. Okay. We'll be utilizing simultaneous interpretation to prevent interruptions to our speakers. If anyone in the audience needs or requires Spanish language interpretation for this meeting, please notify LAHD staff to obtain a headset. Those who are in person and do not speak Spanish will also need a headset for English interpretation. For those on Zoom that require interpretation, please select the appropriate language interpretation using the globe-shaped interpretation button, but only when you require it. Otherwise, please tune into the main audio channel. For example, if you are in the Spanish language interpretation channel and there's a public comment and there is public comment in Spanish, you will need to switch to the main audio to hear it in Spanish and vice versa. Roll call, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Roll call. Madam Chair, Espinosa Coulter.
Here.
Vice Chair Greenlee. Committee Member Saya. Committee Member Chen.
Here.
Committee Member Gaeta. Committee Member Jones. Committee Member Jones. Committee Member Lipa. Here. Committee Member Morales. Committee Member Raymond. Committee Member Reed.
Here.
Committee Member Sanchez. Committee Member Sharma. Madam Chair, you have four.
Very much. That closes roll call. We are now moving on to item number 3, public comment. Again, thank you to all of those who have shown up here and joined us to speak. Speakers are allowed up to 2 minutes as specified. I'm sorry, up to 1 minute on specific items and up to 1 minute on general public comment for a total of 2 minutes. We will start with in-person public comment, followed by those who are joining us virtually on Zoom or by phone. Let's proceed with in-person public comment. The city attorney, with the assistance of our interpreters, will be asking if public commenters require language interpretation before they begin. As a reminder, interpretation will be simultaneous. So for those of you that are in person and do not speak Spanish, you will need a headset to hear English interpretation.
With that, I will call speakers 3 at a time. So if you hear your name, just proceed to the podium. First speaker, Sebi Lippman. Second speaker, Yolanda Evangelista. Third speaker, Eli Lippman.
Hi, my name is Seb. My dad works on Move LA. The average house in LA is $1 million. That's a lot. Move LA, Sage, Ace, Quiwa, LA Forward, Act LA, and Trust has been doing a great job housing LA. Let's hope this works. Thank you, COC.
I'll use the rest of the time just to speak now and say on behalf of Move LA, we're very excited about the program guidelines today, in particular that you're focusing on the most vulnerable, our seniors and people with disabilities. This is really how we're going to save the most important folks in our community who have the most need and keep them housed. We really owe them that, and so I'm really proud of that. And then I also encourage LAHD and this group to continue to ensure that ULA branding and the logo is on every program, on every piece of paper, on every building, on everything, so that voters know this was you that did this. This was you, and we thank you for it. And so it's really important that we continue to brand it as ULA. Thank you.
You might need to share that video with our team.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Yolanda Evangelista, soy miembro de Trust ULA, de la colección de Unite to House LA. También soy beneficiaria del programa de asistencia de emergencia a corto plazo de la ULA. En el momento, pues, así como me ayudaron a mí, quisiera que siguieran ayudando a más familias con el programa del ULA. Y estoy aquí para hablar sobre lo importante que son las pautas para adquisición, rehabilitación y modelos alternativos sean aprobadas y aprobadas aún. Estos programas son esenciales para prevenir la falta de vivienda y agregar más viviendas accesibles a todos Los Ángeles. Deben de existir la asequibilidad permanente como elemento central de sus proyectos de vivienda accesible. Además, es importante que estos programas requieran asociación, colaboración con organizaciones comunitarias locales para garantizar que los inquilinos tengan más control sobre sus edificios. Esto brindaría el alivio del empoderamiento de tanto necesitamos los inquilinos de toda la ciudad de Los Ángeles. Gracias y ojalá siga el programa ULA para que ayude a más familias como me ayudaron a mí. Gracias.
Hi, so her name is Yolanda Evangelista. She is a member of Trust South LA and also of the United to House LA Coalition. She is a resident of South LA, but she's also a recipient of the ERAP ULA program. So definitely she has benefited. She is a living testimony of how this program, of how ULA ERAP works. And we also want to she also wanted to advocate to make sure that there's permanent affordability and why it's important that there's alignment for developers and for programs involved with housing and with CLTs. Thank you.
Next speaker, Jackson Luke, Morgan Sutton, Alfonso Directo Jr., and Eva Garcia.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jackson Loop. I'm the policy director at the Southern California Association of Nonprofit Housing. I just wanted to take a minute to express gratitude and excitement. We don't really celebrate our wins often enough in this field. We're like scared to count our chickens because we are so used to losing. But today I'm counting my chickens. I hope you count your chickens too. To the COC, doing all this work on a voluntary basis, it's really incredible. We really appreciate everything that you've done. The IIG staff, Richard, Abigail, Winnie, Kevin before he left us, which I'm still kind of mad about. Really, really appreciate it. We were here before the IIG. Oh, of course, Cecilia. Sorry. We were here before the IIG was hired and it was a mess. So we really appreciate being here. LHD, especially Edwin and Callie, Greg, really a pleasure to work with, dealing with some really technical stuff in a really patient and respectful way. So really appreciate that. And the coalition, of course, our idea, our execution, and Joe, the leadership's been incredible. And it's been a year and a half, and I've kind of been waiting for this day so that I could quote Kamala and say, "We did it, Joe." So I'm excited. Thank you.
Hi, Morgan Sutton. I am the manager on older adult homeless initiatives with United Way of Greater LA. And I share in the just excitement, the great vibes here. We've got a great coalition that's been moving this forward, and definitely here celebrating these fantastic program guidelines that are moving forward, especially those for income support for seniors and people with disabilities. This is definitely a program that is going to support so many people in staying housed, being able to age in place, keep their housing at a time when everything is skyrocketing in prices. So very, very grateful to this COC, to all the members here, LAHD, the coalition, and all of the support here. This is definitely a great group that's showed up today. So thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alfonso Directo. I'm the advocacy director with ACT LA. We're a coalition of 46 community organizations advocating for housing and transit justice. Today's an exciting day for the community, for LA, and for social housing. In 2019, ACT LA began synthesizing long-time conversations with tenants about experience living in a housing crisis and then in a pandemic. In the middle of rent debt fights, we realized that under a system that values the commodification of housing, renters will never have access to dignified housing. So through a series of community assemblies, we landed on the need to bring social housing models to Los Angeles. Social housing is a modern approach to living in California, where homes are permanently affordable at all income levels and run by the residents who live there. Our intent as part of the team drafting ULA's Alt Models program is to build social housing that adds a new and decommodified housing option for residents in our city. A home should be attainable for everyone, not just the rich or those who get lucky. Today, we celebrate these guidelines and the COC's leadership in drafting them. They name the city's intent for social housing that is affordable in perpetuity to be a major component of LA's housing stock, and they center strong CBO partnerships. This brings Angelenos one step closer to living in the type of housing we all deserve, social housing. Thank you.
Eva Garcia, Tomas Martinez or Tomasa Martinez, and Eloisa Galindo.
Hola, muy buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Eva García, organizadora de Colectivo Poder Comunitario y Fideicomiso Comunitario Tierra Libre.
Hello, my name is Eva Garcia. I'm here with Community Power Collective. And
La vivienda social es la vivienda que los inquilinos de Los Ángeles merecen.
social housing is the housing that tenants deserve in LA.
Una alternativa de vivienda donde ya no tendremos a los dueños corporativos acosándonos y queriéndonos desalojar.
An alternative to housing where we will no longer have corporate owners harassing us and wanting to evict us.
Donde no nada más viviremos dignamente, sino nuestra comunidad puede tomar la tierra y la vivienda.
Where we not only live with dignity, but our community can take over the land and the housing.
Vivienda que es asequible por siempre y gobernada por los inquilinos.
Housing that is affordable forever and governed by tenants.
Donde ya no veamos construcciones de viviendas asequibles acondicionadas.
Where we no longer see construction of affordable housing as currently available.
Como las cuales actualmente estamos viendo. Que si hay vivienda asequible, sea porque sea por siempre.
That if there is affordable housing, let it be permanent.
Sin condiciones, porque la actualidad de vivienda asequible, tenemos tantas condiciones que nuestra comunidad no puede vivir ahí.
That the current housing conditions cause us to have so many conditions to be scared of, even of eviction.
Y se vive todavía con miedo de ser desalojados por las condiciones sistemáticas.
Because we're still living under fear of the systemic evictions that are happening in housing.
La vivienda social será diferente, innovadora para Los Ángeles.
Social housing will be different and innovative for Los Angeles because Los Angeles must innovate, not by commodifying housing, but offering dignified housing.
Porque Los Ángeles deben innovar y no en mercantilizar vivienda, sino en ofrecer viviendas dignas. Donde podemos tener nuestras plantas, mascotas, nuestra familia, viviendo que nosotros vivamos dignamente.
Where we can have our plants, pets, and our family, housing that is given to, that provides us a dignified life, where no one.
Donde nadie sea más dueño que la casa que habita, ni nadie sea más dueño por la vivienda que habita. Que la tierra sea de quien la trabaja y cuide por la vivienda.
That no one owns more housing than what they can have. That housing be controlled by those who work it so that it's vital for every human being.
Cuida porque la vivienda no es un mercado. La vivienda es esencial y vital para cada ser humano.
Because housing is a human right and it's not a commodity and it's essential for every human being.
Y estamos aquí hoy para celebrar este paso, un paso más cerca a viviendas social, porque la vivienda no es un mercado, la vivienda es esencial y vital para cada ser humano.
We are here today to celebrate this step, one step closer to social housing, because housing is not a commodity. Housing is an essential and vital for every human being.
Gracias.
Tomas Martinez, or Tomasa Martinez. Can't read the writing. Eloisa Galindo, Maria Briones, Greg Bonnet.
Good afternoon. My name is Tomasa Martinez. And actually, right now, I'm a member of ACE and the system of affordable housing. And right now, in this process of ULA, is visional and powerful. And yes, characteristics that are important, just like affordable housing permanent to guarantee that Los Angeles compromises with accessible housing for the generations that are coming. Because my community is my home. And my home will be house of my grandchildren and my children. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Buenas tardes, mi
Good
nombre es
afternoon.
Eloísa
My name is
Galindo, soy
Eloisa
miembro
Galindo,
de
and I'm a
ACE
member of
y de
ACE,
Reclamando Nuestras
and,
Escuelas de Los Ángeles.
Speaking on behalf of the schools of Los Angeles.
Cuando en el momento en
When
que
in the
yo como
moment
latina
that
me
me,
uní a
like
la
a
coalición
Latina,
por
I joined the
ULA,
commission of ULA.
tuvimos el
We
alcance
had
con las
the
familias
reach
para
of the
decirles que
families to
votaran
tell
por
them to vote
ULA.
for ULA.
Las familias nos decían
Families
en
would
la
tell us
crisis que
in the
estaban
crisis
viviendo
that they were
de vivienda.
confronting of housing.
Y hoy estoy aquí porque
And
estamos
today we're
hartos de la
here because
codicia
we're
del
tired
capitalismo,
of the
especialmente de
capitalism
Blackstone.
and also of Blackstone.
Hoy estoy aquí
And
para
today
pedirles
I'm
a
here to
ustedes
ask you guys
que luchen por una vivienda social.
that we also want a social housing.
El sistema de vivienda
And the
social
system of affordable housing
diseñado en
is
estas
designed
pautas
in
de
this
la
houses
ULA
of ULA,
es visionario y poderoso.
visionary and powerful.
Incluyen características
It also includes
esenciales.
characteristics and essential.
Can we, I'm sorry, can we have more pause between the two? We're having trouble hearing either, yeah.
Vivienda social. El sistema de
affordable
vivienda
housing,
social
the system
diseñado en
affordable
estas
housing
pautas de la ULA
this
es
process
visionario
of ULA
y
is
poderoso.
flexible and powerful,
Incluyen características
including
esenciales tales como accesibilidad permanente,
of housing permanent.
garantizar ¿de dónde a dónde empiezo ahora?
¿Puede hacerlo del comienzo para que se oiga?
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Eloísa Galindo, soy parte de ACE y parte de Reclamando Nuestras Escuelas de Los Ángeles.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Eloisa Galindo. I'm a member of ACE and also a part of the coalition Reclaiming Our Schools Los Angeles.
como mamá latina en el momento que me invitaron a la coalición de unirme para decirle a la gente que votara por ULA, la gente misma nos decía la crisis y las necesidades de vivienda.
From the moment that I started working to get ULA passed, going door to door, the very same people we were door knocking were telling us the huge need for ULA.
Hoy estoy aquí porque estamos hartos del capital, de la codicia del capitalismo, especialmente de Blackstone.
Today, we're here today because we're sick and tired of capitalism and we're sick and tired of corporations like Blackstone.
La comunidad pide vivienda social.
The community demands social housing.
El sistema de vivienda social diseñado en estas pautas de la ULA
We are definitely asking for the same things that are drawn out in ULA.
es visionario y poderoso.
It is visionary and powerful.
Incluyen características esenciales tales como
It showcases characteristics like
accesibilidad permanente para garantizar que Los Ángeles se comprometa
permanent access to housing, so Los Angeles commits itself to.
Con la accesibilidad de la vivienda para las generaciones venideras.
For access to housing for future generations.
Yo como mamá estoy aquí para ver que mis hijos tengan una vivienda accesible, pero especialmente traigo la voz de los estudiantes. El 6% de los estudiantes de LUSD, siendo el segundo distrito más grande de los Estados Unidos, son homeless.
I'm here as a mother to advocate for students in Los Angeles, specifically the 6% of students that are currently homeless in LAUSD.
Únanse con el pueblo, tienen al pueblo, ya saben que ULA pasó por algo feo. Tenemos al pueblo con ustedes, pedimos que escuchen la voz del pueblo porque necesita vivienda justa, vivienda accesible, vivienda social. Gracias por su atención.
So the people are with you, get together with the people, and yeah, ULA passed by a wide margin and we already defeated many other legal battles. So join the people.
Greg Bonnet, Javier Beltran, Joe Donlin, Kim Jurgen.
Hi there. Hi, I'm Greg Bonet. I'm a staff attorney with Public Counsel. Just like to say how excited I am to be here today to speak on these measures. It's been a long time coming. Very excited about the proposed guidelines, and I'm very excited to be giving comment to this body today. It's really an incredible thing we've all done. I was going to speak specifically about the alternative models for permanent affordable housing. When Public Counsel was working with ACT LA to draft this measure, we spent a lot of time working on that section about alternative models for permanent affordable housing. This section is really intended to build out new models of affordable housing that could overcome some of the past shortcomings and really scale up social housing in Los Angeles. It's designed to build housing that's going to be permanently affordable, housing that will be governed by and for its residents, and housing that's going to be built in genuine partnership with community-based organizations. The city's most recent housing element has a section about at-risk, units that are at risk of affordability, and it goes on for almost 40 pages of projects whose affordability is at risk. The projects built with this money are going to be different. This is a chance to make sure we are not in that position again. These projects are going to be affordable in perpetuity. The affordability restrictions will never expire, and it's going to be governed by the residents that live there. This means that the people that live in the housing will have a say in how those buildings are managed and be part of the important decisions about the feasibility and long-term maintenance of those buildings. We're all here today to celebrate these draft guidelines and urge the committee to adopt the guidelines and recommend that the City Council adopt them. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, Citizen Oversight Committee members, and thank you. Just wanted to mention that thank you on behalf of all the folks from the United House LA Coalition. My name is Javier Beltran. I'm the Deputy Director at Housing Rights Center, and we are an organization member of the United House LA Coalition, and here to support the passage of the the ULA program guidelines. And I do want to emphasize the short-term emergency assistance. But first, I would like to point out the collaborative nature by everyone involved to get to this point. These guidelines is a true testament of the hard work and expertise provided by the committee, the LA Housing Department, and the UHLA Coalition to finalize these guidelines that you are voting on today. I do want to specifically point out the short-term emergency assistance program guidelines and appreciate LHD's vision to create a space by setting a possible eviction diversion program. UHLA Coalition believes that such future diversion programs can go a long way to lowering the eviction rates for LA City residents and a long-term solution to keep tenants housed at the end of the day. So these ULA program guidelines represent a comprehensive and transformative blueprint for housing justice in LA. Let's continue the great work. Thank you, guys.
Hello all. Kim Jurgen with Liberty Community Land Trust Board member of LA CLT Coalition, and a member supporter of ULA Coalition. Before I say anything, I would like to say, when we fight, we win. And congratulations to us. That includes all the people and the coalitions also. And now that the decision by the courts have removed the Deceptive Tax Act, which was put forth by the luxury real estate industry, Blackstone, from the ballot, there should be no doubt in the minds of the city leaders that ULA is here to stay. The mayor and city council should move forward with all funds initiated on behalf of ULA, on behalf of the ULA 11 housing guidelines. After years of hard work, these 11 programs set forth the vision of housing justice in LA that will, excuse me, that will be funded by at least $3 billion raised by ULA over the next decade. We celebrate COC and ULA in this plan for housing justice. The ULA housing program guidelines are some of the most innovative, vital housing initiatives put forth for housing justice in LA in decades, and will no doubt be a model for other cities to replicate. I ask the COC to strongly encourage the mayor and city council to do the right thing. Release all the funds for use with all of the ULA program guidelines without delay. Thank you.
Joe, while you're walking up, could the other folks that are scheduled to speak go ahead and line up? I just want to make sure we get through everything.
So after Joe, we have Elizabeth Hernandez, Joey Mendez, and Allison Riley.
Great. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joe Donlin. I'm the director of the United House LA Coalition. And just want to say a quick word of celebration as well. I mean, Kim just mentioned it, but we're talking about $3 billion of work that we have been putting together here over the last couple months. You know, we've raised almost $335 million with Measure ULA to date. You know, we think that number is going to get bigger over time, but let's be conservative and call it 300 million per year over 10 years. That's $3 billion that these program guidelines that you all have helped craft and everyone here helped create the vision for. That's moving forward. And this is an incredible moment. You know, it's an incredible thing that community groups all here today and many who couldn't be here today put together this vision as a measure. And now we're taking this big step forward to say, okay, here's what we imagine. Now here are the details to make it work and for it to hit the ground running. And just want to applaud the Citizens Oversight Committee, your leadership, everyone involved, the Housing Department, the IIG, the mayor's office, the city council offices who have been involved to date. This is big, and I think we should celebrate it, make sure the world knows. And what's coming out of this community body, this citizens oversight body, is something to be recognized and something that we got to continue to work and fight for to make it real. So appreciate everyone here today. And as they say, ULA is here to stay.
My name is Joey Mendez. I'm a member of ACE. The social housing system designed in these ULA guidelines is visionary and powerful. They include essential features such as permanent affordability to ensure that LA is committing to housing affordability for generations to come. Building new affordable housing, social housing with the highest standards by union construction workers. Also preventing our housing stock that is affordable to low-income households, but at risk of being lost. And making more housing community controlled and governed by the tenants who live there. As a college student who is trying to find a job and a place to move out of my parents' house, it's been impossible due to how low wages are and how high renting is, even for a one-bedroom apartment. It's impossible for our future generations to be able to move anywhere if the rent is going to keep raising. We need affordable housing, social housing now. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Hernandez. I'm an organizer with ACE, but I'm also a member and I'm also Joey's mom. So as you guys can hear, it's really important that we have affordable housing. I mean, it's not like I want my kids to move out, but that is life. They have to make their own life eventually, and they can do it because the jobs are not paying well, and our rents are increasing day by day. Families keep growing, so we definitely need housing around our communities where our kids can be, part of the community as well, and so they can have and make their own life. It's really important because it's as an organizer with the education chapter, we see that it's over 35,000 students who are homeless, and we're talking about our future generations who they don't have a place to live now that they're in schools. And in the future, they're still not gonna have anywhere to go. And this is how we're losing kids in the community living somewhere else because there's no affordable housing. So it's important that we keep pushing to keep getting this money for the ULA, to keep building homes in our communities. And even we can work out with the district, right? LAUSD has empty lots that we can build housing in these empty lots as well. They have abandoned schools that they're not in use because we don't have enough students in them. But we do have a bunch of homeless students. So let's work on this together and let's have our kids, under a roof so they can, they have a better future and for our future generations. Thank you.
Hi, y'all. I'm Allison Riley, Senior Director of Housing Development for Venice Community Housing. I'm very excited to have been part of this coalition and to see these guidelines come together. It has really renewed my faith in the affordable housing industry as a solution. This is a holistic, tenant-focused, and permanent approach to affordable housing. The way we currently fund our new housing requires a mind-numbing capital stack that drives us to jump through hoops to meet tax code requirements that weren't made for affordable housing, and just adds barriers to our ability to deliver new units. I really encourage us to keep pushing for sole source housing. We will continue to build LIHTC housing, but we must and can begin to drive innovation in social housing. We can create new financing products that will work to advance this permanent housing model that will be led by the community. Thank you.
Madam Chair, that concludes the in-person comments. Now we will move to virtual or phone comments by phone.
Thank you. For participants on Zoom and phone, please use the raise hand function or dial *9 to add yourself to the queue. Please also remember to unmute your mic on your device and press *6 on your phone after your name is called. The city attorney will be asking if public comments require language interpretation before they begin. As a reminder, please use the Zoom interpretation function only when needed. Otherwise, join the main audio. Do we have any?
Yes, we have currently 3 speakers via Zoom. Rebecca Sen, Brad West, and Wendy Miranda. I'll go ahead and call Ms. Sen.
Yes, hello. This is Rabia Sen, Director of Policy with Esperanza Community Housing and a proud member of the ACT LA Coalition as well as the UHLA Coalition. After years of work, these 11 programs set forth the vision for housing justice in LA that will be funded by at least $3 billion raised by ULA over the next decade. And we need to make sure that the voters' voices, the impacted residents' voices are heard, are honored, and continue to be centered in these guidelines, because the ULA program guidelines represent a comprehensive and transformative blueprint for housing justice in LA. Particularly, we want to emphasize our strong support for the social housing system, for permanent affordable housing designed in these guidelines. It's visionary and powerful. They include essential features such as permanent affordability, building new affordable social housing to the highest standards, preserving our housing stock. The fact is that we can no longer afford to continue with the current status quo of relying on market strategies to solve the crisis that this market has created. And it's this model of social housing that will bring dignity in housing and actually solve this crisis. So we encourage you to adopt these guidelines and particularly to support strongly the social housing guidelines and permanent and permanent affordability for this. Thank you.
Next Zoom speaker, Mr. Brad West.
Good afternoon, folks. My name is Brad West. I am with the Supportive Housing Alliance, which is a coalition of a dozen supportive housing developers across Los Angeles. I just wanted to commend the COC and LAHD on a job well done. I think these program guidelines are a significant improvement from their initial draft, and just want to really appreciate all the hard work that went into these, especially the operating subsidies program guidelines. We think you folks really listened to the need of the community and it's responded accordingly. In an ideal world, I think we still would like to see some kind of set aside in the multifamily housing program and in the alternative models program for special needs populations, for folks who are experiencing homelessness or large families or seniors, DV victims, et cetera, specifically because the stated purpose of Measure ULA is to end homelessness, and we can't do that without significant investment into supportive housing. But we still think these program guidelines are a really big step up from their initial draft, and we sincerely thank everyone for their hard work.
Next speaker, Wendy Miranda, followed by Ruby Rivera.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Wendy Miranda, and I am with Esperanza Community Housing, a member of ACT LA and the United to House LA Coalition. I'm also here in support of the proposed program guidelines for the ULA program. It's such an exciting day for community. I know you all have heard from folks who are present, who are also on Zoom, about how communities have really been waiting for this and are asking for social housing. And I definitely echo all the comments before me. We're in the midst of a housing crisis, and this program really truly represents hope. It would provide funding for much needed social housing, housing that is permanently affordable, that preserves our housing stock, provides jobs, and protects our tenants. So again, just urge you all to pass these guidelines. Thank you.
Thank you. Final Zoom speaker, Ms. Ruby Rivera.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Ruby Rivera. I'm with Inner City Struggle and also a member of ACT LA and the United to House LA Coalition. And I just wanted to speak in support of the guidelines presented. First of all, I want to echo everyone in celebrating the hard work that the Citizen Oversight Commission has taken on in bringing about these program guidelines, which are a visionary plan for housing justice in Los Angeles. The social housing system that's designed in these guidelines is visionary and powerful, including very essential features such as permanent affordability to ensure that LA is committing to housing for generations, building new affordable social housing with the highest standards by union construction workers, preserving our housing stock, which is also key, that is affordable to low-income households at risk of being lost, and making more housing that is community controlled and governed by tenants. And in addition, and this is big for us as an organization that works a lot on tenant rights and tenant protections, is that these guidelines represent a comprehensive and transformative blueprint for housing justice in LA that includes funding for social housing, programs to keep people housed and end evictions in LA, like a right to counsel and protections from tenant harassment, income support for vulnerable groups, including seniors and people with disabilities, and so much more. So again, thank you so much for your work, and I urge you to pass these guidelines.
Thank you. That was our final Zoom speaker. Are there any additional speakers on phone? Madam Chair, that concludes public comment.
Thank you all so much. Moving on to agenda item number 4, which is where I am able to give you just a little bit of a report. I want to start by highlighting the UHLA rally. I want to thank you all for hosting that rally to celebrate today's monumental vote on the final 8 of ULA's 11 permanent implementation guidelines. With these guidelines, we enact the key elements of ULA: citizens' oversight and leadership in the use of hundreds of millions of dollars raised by Measure ULA. Here's what you've made possible by showing up here and engaging in the process. And I'm talking to you, the COC members that are here. You made this possible, along with the folks out in the audience. 11,000 Angelinos have stayed housed thanks to ULA rental assistance. ULA funding either helped start the construction of 795 new affordable homes or made sure construction could be completed. 10,000 new union construction jobs have been created. Thousands of tenants at risk of eviction are getting legal defense and tenant rights education. ULA will be supporting seniors and people with disabilities. So thank you, thank you, thank you to each and every one of you in this room. This success would not have been possible without you. Yes, please. What did you say? All right, and now I move to a very dry topic. The public disclosure statements. I want to share a friendly reminder to our COC members that we're required to complete and file our public disclosure statements, Form 60 and Form 700 with the Ethics Commission. State law imposes some very steep fines. And if you have any questions or need any assistance, please connect with LAHD and the IIG team. That concludes my report. That's a terrible way to conclude, but I'm going to go back to celebration. ULA. Thank you. Moving on to item number 5. The IIG's report. I now invite the team to provide a brief update.
All right, thank you, Chair Coulter. All right, so I will move through this pretty quickly here. So 2 quick items to update on. First is an upcoming presentation next month. So the Los Angeles County Affordable Housing Solutions Agency has invited the Interim Inspector General and the ULA team to present on the to their board, so to the La Casa board, on the guidelines that we will hopefully get passed today, and just share more progress on the program. So that's just an update that'll be happening next month. Share materials on our website. And then moving on to metrics and evaluations. So we just wanted to provide an update on the IIG's approach for the ULA program's metrics and evaluation. So in the agenda packet, you all will see a slide deck that includes all the information from the ordinance in terms of what we need to do in terms of conducting an audit, doing a needs assessment, as well as doing a evaluation of the successes and shortcomings of the program itself. The IIG has mapped out our next steps on that front. And so the first one is really going to be to think through what opportunities we have to partner with researchers and research institutions to update the needs assessment. The next is going to be contracting with a third party to conduct the external audit of the ULA program funds. And then the third is going to be finalizing our approach for evaluating the measure's progress thus far. So we'll keep you updated on that. And things that we'll be presenting to the COC will be just updates on progress, including a draft scope of work for the RFP to solicit a third party consultant for that program evaluation. I think that is it.
That concludes agenda item number 5. We're moving on now to agenda item number 6, which is a brief status update from LAHD on the ULA revenue and expenditures. I will now turn it over to LAHD staff.
Better? There we go. Everybody back there? Yeah. Okay, great. Thank y'all. I'm Greg Good with the Los Angeles Housing Department here with Ann Sewell, General Manager of the Housing Department. I would just start by echoing and reveling in and sharing in the enthusiasm, the excitement, the recognition of massive achievement that this meeting reflects and represents, and that all the incredible people here in the audience, the coalition, and then the COC who devoted so much time and effort and energy really are bringing to fruition. So congratulations and thank you in advance. This is a amazing day and a very exciting day. I will keep this brief because y'all have some work to do. Quickly, just our revenue update. The revenue for the last month or the first month of the fiscal year, we did take a dip. It went to 23 million on 40 transactions, which was a dip from last month. The way this is broken down, just to understand, because it may be a little confusing, June, that's June receipts, which means July revenue. And so that's what you're seeing on that first number on the right-hand side. So for the fiscal year of 23-24, we officially hit 296 million. And in the first month, this month, or for this fiscal year, we hit 23 million. All of this is reflected now, we're excited to say, in a dashboard on our website, and it's broken down in a whole bunch of ways, more than I can describe. And if the COC would be interested in us doing sort of a demo on that at a subsequent meeting, we would be more than happy to do so. But meanwhile, this is available on our website right now, and that something we're excited to share. We also have our budget to actuals updated. You know, I would submit that this is available for the record. All of the money from this budget to actuals is committed, but for the 11 million that we're still working on with income support for seniors with for at-risk seniors, rent burden seniors, and persons with disabilities. I can go through this, but otherwise it's on the record and available to everyone, both on the COC and in the public. And otherwise, I will open to questions and let you all get to work.
Any questions? Hearing no questions, I believe that concludes the LAHD report and concludes item number 6. Correct. We are moving on to item number 7, which is the approval of permanent program guidelines. Can I get a whoop? As the chair of the ad hoc committee, I would like to commend the collaborative efforts from everyone involved in this process once again, of developing the permanent program guidelines for all 11 ULA programs. In June, the COC approved the permanent guidelines for 3 homelessness prevention programs. And today we will be presenting the guidelines on the remaining 8 ULA homelessness prevention and affordable housing programs for the COC's consideration and approval. I would particularly like to thank the coalition, my fellow COC committee, LAHD, the mayor's office, and the city council offices of Bob Blumenfeld and Nithya Raman for making ULA a priority for your staff. Your input has helped shape all of the facets of the guidelines, from policy to implementation. Since our last COC meeting in June, the ad hoc committee met 7 times to finalize the guidelines. That's since June. To date, this encapsulates a total of 25 ad hoc committee meetings over the last 7 months. I want to elevate the commitment of committee members who have spent so much time together. Thank you to the current and former committee members on the ad hoc committee, which include Debbie Chen, Jennifer Gaeta, Elda Mendes-Lamas, Alma Morales, Laura Raymond, and Deepika Sharma. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the brain trust at LAHD, Greg Good, Edwin Sun, and Callie Hardy. Yay. And thank you to the IIG team. Absolutely. LHD, thank you. You guys have been amazing. And to the IIG team for guiding the process, Cecilia, Abigail, Winnie, Richard, and Samantha. Thank you so much. All right, with that, I will now turn it over to the IIG team to walk us through the process to take action on the remaining sets of ULA program guidelines.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, so today, as we noted, we're going to be presenting 8 important guidelines for your consideration. We divide them up into 2 sets. There's 7A, item 7A, which is related to homelessness prevention programs. We have 2 programs we're going to be presenting, and we hope you'll take action on. And then item 7B are the affordable housing. We tend to think of them as the production programs. And we have 6 programs under that item. So I want to just walk us through the process. It's a lot of content, as you know, because we know you've been reading them. So we want to make sure we are really clear on the process as we move forward. So what we're going to do is we'll start with agenda item 7A, the homelessness program, 2 programs there. And we will do a brief presentation on the guidelines to the 2 programs that we're bringing forward. We're going to summarize the key points and the objectives of the programs and how they work very briefly. You know, you've read them, but then we'll take questions from COC members to clarify anything that was not completely clear. And if you have any other questions around that, we'll facilitate a brief discussion at the end of each program to clarify any questions you may have. And then I believe the chair will invite a COC member to make a motion on the programs, those 2 programs that have been presented. Assuming some action is taken on 7A, we'll move on to 7B, and we'll do that same process. So I want to just give you some general overview around the guidelines. You're going to see, or you will have seen if you've read them, and I know you have, that there's some general statements at the beginning of each of the set of guidelines. There's also some discussion of the programmatic directives. The idea is to keep this general enough that these are guidelines that can, as the great Greg Good likes to say, evergreen. Here we are in Los Angeles. What's really evergreen? Anyway, so to the extent possible, we don't need to be amending them constantly, right? So they're general enough, but they do provide directives that achieve the objectives of the program. We've also set out metrics and ways that we hope to measure the effectiveness of these programs. I also want to clarify that guidelines are guidelines. They are not notices of funding availability. They are not RFQs, RFPs. They are not all that very specific, detailed requests for proposals or funding availabilities that often affordable housing developers are used to seeing. So they're guidelines, they're general. The NOFA is a place to get deep, deep, deep into the weeds that so many people just love to dwell in. So I'm going to turn it over to Abigail and the IIG team in just 1 second. I just want to also note that I understand, as much as we've done 27 meetings in the last couple of months, there are just a few more technical tweaks that I believe the members of the ad hoc committee are going to offer up as not amendments, but just clarifications to the text so that the actual recommendations include these last minute tweaks. We've been putting them, we'll have them on slides so that every member of the public can see those last minute tweaks. They really are just clarifications. They're not substantive differences. And then that will become the recommendation that the committee can then make motions upon. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the great Abigail to walk us through the first set of guidelines, 2 guidelines under item 7A dealing with homelessness prevention.
Thank you, Cecilia. So the first set of programs that we'll be discussing today are the homelessness prevention programs under item 7A. The first program within this group is the Income Support for Rent-Burdened At-Risk Seniors and Persons with Disabilities program. The ordinance directs 10% of the House LA funds to be allocated to provide income assistance designed to assist households in avoiding displacement from their homes. These funds are meant to uplift the city's most vulnerable residents out of poverty while connecting them to the city's vast network of housing resources, aiding them in their path to financial security while stabilizing their housing. Through financial support, the program aims to ultimately increase these residents' overall health and well-being. So participants within the program are both individual tenants and tenant households residing with the city of LA who are at risk of homelessness and rent burdened. One or more of these individuals within the household must be a senior and or a person with a disability with a gross household income at or below 50% of the area median income. Through this program, eligible participants will receive unrestricted income support in the form of a direct cash assistance payment. And so now we will take questions and discussions on the income support program, and I will pass it back to Madam Chair.
Committee member.
Mr. Sanchez, would you step in for just one moment?
Happy to do so.
Thank you.
So I believe what we're going to be doing now is opening up for any questions.
Any questions? Hearing none, do we need to take a motion on this specific guideline now?
I think, are there any, I don't think this is one that has a tweak, any technical changes, so we can move on to the next presentation.
Next presentation, not a motion.
Not a motion.
Got it.
Okay, Abigail, go for the next one.
Okay. Sorry, there's a lag. So next within the homelessness prevention programs is the short-term emergency assistance program. The ordinance directs 5% of the House LA funds to be allocated to provide short-term emergency funding to tenant households at risk of becoming homeless. These funds will stabilize low-income tenants at risk of losing their housing due to one-time economic shocks and may cover the entirety of rent payments for a short-term period of up to 6 months. Eligible participants are tenants who reside within the city of LA and are experiencing economic hardship at or below 80% of the area median income. Eligible landlords are those who collect rents from eligible tenants within the city. Program funds will be used for the payment of short-term rental assistance and to administer the program. And we will now take questions and discussions on the short-term emergency assistance program, and I will pass it back to Member Sanchez.
Thank you. Let me just pause here for a second. I understand that we do have an edit that we want to consider.
Apologies, I do have an edit. Under 2A, item 1, it's I. Yeah, for income support, the last one, I'd like to add, in collaboration with the ULA, COC LAHD shall also establish disbursement minimums based on market factors, available funds, and demand to be adjusted at least every 3 years.
So we'll just include that as if it's being recommended.
Correct.
Thank you.
And for reference, the language that Member Sharma just read off is now on the screen for everyone to see.
And our chair is back.
Thank you. And you've read this into record? All right, great. We are going to wait on taking a motion or making any action to do it collectively. Have you already gone through this? To do it collectively with 7A. And I believe that now that it's been read into the record, we can move on to 7A two.
7B.
7B.
Of 7B, we're already there. All right, thank you. No, 7A2,
I'm sorry.
7A2.
short-term
Yes.
emergency rental assistance. Thank you.
So we've already done the program overview. So I will direct it back to Madam Chair to hold questions and discussion.
I understand that the members of the COC have. I apologize. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Yeah, that's, um. Yeah.
The 2.5 program in the program funding.
I believe it's 3A.
3A,
Short-term emergency assistance.
scope of services. Little I. Can we go directly to? This is a
Yeah.
format question. Can we go directly to little I landlord participation compliance? Second paragraph. Can we get people there that quickly?
I think so. It's on the screen.
Great.
Yes, it's on the screen and it's at the LAHD shall have the authority to request that the city attorney investigate landlords that fail to accept short-term emergency assistance funds.
And then we're skipping a paragraph and we're going to a second paragraph below. It starts with all tenant protections. Please proceed.
Should documentation can be used as affirmative defense in court proceedings for failure to participate in the short-term emergency assistance program when the tenant has an eviction filed against them.
So I'd like to clarify that the previous concluding sentence of that paragraph has been stricken and is being replaced with the verbiage that Commissioner has just read.
That's cool. Then, Madam Chair, I'll just note again for the benefit of the public, these are changes that are intended as clarifications. They've been deliberated on by the ad hoc committee and they just were oversight, didn't get included. So these are technical changes that the ad hoc committee members would like to make. They don't change the substance of.
Great. Having considered and discussed item 7A, I will entertain a motion on the proposed guidelines for the two homelessness prevention programs that we are considering as amended, presented herein.
So moved.
And would you like verbiage on what you're moving specifically?
Well, as have been mentioned, right? Do I need to read it? COC member, I move the approval of the program guidelines for item 7A, the income support for rent burden at-risk seniors and persons with disabilities program and the short-term emergency assistance program as proposed, and move that the Interim Inspector General be directed to transmit the Community Oversight Committee's action to approve these guidelines to the mayor, the city council, and the Los Angeles Housing Department.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Let's open it up for further discussion of this motion. I'm sorry, let's open discussion on the motion to approve. Any additional discussion? Hearing none. The motion to approve having been moved and seconded and following a thorough discussion that happened much earlier. Mr. City Attorney, would you please call the roll?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Roll call. Madam Chair Espinosa Coulter. Committee Member Chen.
Yes.
Committee Member Gaeta. Committee Member Lipa. Committee Member Morales. Committee Member Raymond. Committee Member Reed. Committee Member Sanchez.
Yes.
Committee Member Sharma.
Yes.
Committee Member Jones.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. I'm going to pause briefly as I understand Commissioner Chen.
Thank you, Chair Coulter. I would like to recuse myself for the following item. Action item 7B, given the potential for conflict with my, on this matter with my employer.
Thank you. It's recorded.
Madam Chair, let the record reflect that Committee Member Chen has exited the hearing.
Thank you very much. I will now turn it back over to the IIG team to provide an overview of the affordable housing programs. First up, 7B I, homeownership opportunities.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The second set of programs, as you just said, that we will be discussing today are the affordable housing programs. So the first program that we'll be going over is the Home Ownership Opportunities Program. So just to caveat, within section 22.618.3, part D1 IID of the ordinance, 10% of the House LA funds are allocated to 3 different affordable housing programs. The first of these activities is to support single-family and cooperative home ownership opportunities, including down payment assistance, shared equity home ownership, and pre-development funding. Through these funds, the program aims to promote long-term housing security and wealth building via home ownership for low-income Angelenos. Eligible borrowers with the program are first-time homeowners earning at or below 80% of the area median income. Borrowers will receive deferred payment loans to support acquisition, down payment assistance, inspection fees, or other closing costs on owner-occupied one-unit residential dwellings within the city of Los Angeles. And we will now take questions and discussions on the Homeownership Opportunities Program. I will pass it back to Madam Chair.
Thank you. I understand that there is a technical amendment to be added.
Yes. So proposed edit for guideline section 1.3A, evaluation and selection process, to add when feasible, LHD shall evaluate bidders on having a demonstrated history of lending to BIPOC communities and advancing home ownership opportunities for BIPOC and low-income borrowers. Bidders will also be required to be based in the city of Los Angeles and demonstrate a robust lending experience in Los Angeles City and County.
Thank you.
That is constitute the staff recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, any additional questions and discussions regarding homeownership opportunities? Hearing no questions and no discussions, let's move to 7B I.
Thank you. So second within the affordable housing programs is the capacity building program. Along with home ownership, from the same section as before of the ordinance, 10% of the House LA funds are also allocated towards capacity building funding for community land trusts and other organizations that serve and have representative leadership from disadvantaged communities and which facilitate tenant ownership. The House LA funds are intended to advance innovation and models of housing, and this will require engaging, educating, and empowering residents. The program aims to do this through facilitating and supporting tenant participation in building management, supporting residents and property managers, and implementing and sustaining nonprofit, land trusts, cooperative and tenant-led management, and or ownership models while providing the training and resources to ensure longevity of tenant-managed properties. Eligible participants include tenants, developers, community partners, and property managers of properties participating in the acquisition rehab ULA program. More on that later, spoiler alert. And these funds will be used for a variety of activities, including design, outreach, training and tools, and monitoring and compliance of tenant managed property models. And we will now take questions and discussions on the capacity building program, and I will pass it back to Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Abigail. I understand that there is a technical modification to the capacity building guidelines. I call in.
Look, do we have somebody? Great, yes,
please.
Under capacity building, we would like to add the edit and our ULA COC committee, please.
Right, and for the record, this is being added to guideline section 2.3 eligible activities at the very end.
Yes.
Right, thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you. Any additional questions or discussions? Fabulous. Moving on to 7B, 3i, operating assistance. Abigail.
I believe that there are additional proposed edits to the capacity building program, so I will turn it back to Member Jones.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Yeah, I'll maybe if you don't mind, Member Jones. Essentially, the collaboration with the ULA COC, that phrase is repeated at B, Romanet 1, training. In the last paragraph, we have it up on your screen. LAHD may at its discretion in consultation with the ULA COC expand the program. And then in the next section under tools, again, in the second paragraph, again, adding in consultation with ULA COC, keeping you all in the loop throughout this entire program. And I think that's it. So as you know, this just clarifying that the ULA COC, you all will be a part of this program as it's developed in its implementation.
Correct, and thank you.
Thank you.
So that would constitute the staff recommendation.
I believe we are now ready for operating assistance, 7B.
I think we still need to ask for questions and discussions for capacity building.
Thank you very much, Abigail.
Of course.
Questions and discussions? Hearing none. I'll pass it back to you, Abigail.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the third affordable housing program is the operating assistance program. So this again comes from the same section of the ordinance that along with homeownership and capacity building, 10% of the House LA funds are also allocated towards providing long-term operating assistance that supports new construction, acquisition, and or rehabilitation of existing housing in the form of project-based, multi-year rental subsidies, operating subsidies, or service subsidies. The operating assistance program supports affordable housing in the city of Los Angeles by providing operating support for projects facing a short-term disruption in cash flow or a wider economic shock. Eligible applicants are public entities, local housing authorities, and community land trusts with affordable housing development experience and property management, either funded by the city of LA or that have a commitment for a new housing project to be funded. Projects can be any unit size, provided that the units are covenanted to residents at or below 80% of the area median income. Mixed income projects under the United House LA Alternative Models Program are also eligible, which we'll be going over in a bit. And payments from this program can also be used for debt service, insurance premiums, short-term security or fire watch services, deferred operating costs, and tax liabilities. And we will now take questions and discussion, so I will pass it back to the chair.
I would open it up to any members of the committee. Hearing none, I'm going to pass it back to you. for 7B for multifamily affordable housing.
Okay, so the fourth affordable housing program is the multifamily affordable housing program. The ordinance directs 22.5% of the House LA funds to be allocated to the development of supportive and or affordable housing projects of 40 units or greater for income qualified populations. The program aims to catalyze the development of the maximum number of affordable units possible. This program uses local funding to access additional public subsidies, allowing the program to construct more affordable housing with less cost to the city, with the ultimate goal of producing the greatest number of affordable units possible. Eligible applicants are entities that have a demonstrated history of affordable housing development and operation, including community land trusts and limited equity housing cooperatives. Projects must be at least 40 deed restricted units covenanted to households earning at or below 80% of the area median income, with leveraged financing commitments from other federal, state, county, or non-ULA sources. And ULA funds in this program can also be used to cover pre-development costs, construction and financing costs, other soft costs, and operating reserves. And we will now take questions and discussions on the multifamily affordable housing program, and I will pass it back to the chair.
Thank you. Any questions, discussions from the team? Thank you. I will note that there are no technical modifications either. All right, so we're going to pass it back to Abigail for 7B5, acquisition and rehabilitation of affordable housing.
Okay, and these are a bit longer, so stick with us. But the fifth affordable housing program is the acquisition and rehabilitation of affordable housing program. So the ordinance directs 10% of the House LA funds to be allocated to the acquisition, preservation, rehabilitation, lease, or operation of existing housing, or to pay the principal and interest on debts for these purposes. The program has the overarching goal of preserving the affordability of existing housing, preventing the displacement of residents while ensuring the operating health of and extending the life of the preserved properties by providing the funding needed for rehabilitation work and capital improvements while cultivating resident governance or ownership of their housing. To achieve these goals, the acquisition and rehabilitation program has two subprograms: the Small Naturally Occurring Affordable Housing Program, or small NOAA, and the Preserving Affordability Program. Program funds will be allocated for the first 3 years by the following schedule. So year one will have a 50% split to each subprogram. Year two will have a 40% to Preserving Affordability and 60% to small NOAA split. And year three will have the same. So also a 40% to Preserving Affordability and 60% to small NOAA split. The small NOAA program is meant to ensure that the city's naturally occurring existing stock of affordable housing continues to be available, particularly in areas of the city that are experiencing elevated displacement and redevelopment pressures. Eligible applicants include public entities, local housing authorities, CLTs, LEHCs, and 501c3s with experience or partnership in affordable housing. Eligible projects are existing non-deed restricted housing between 3 and 20 units. And in addition to the city's naturally occurring housing stock of affordable units and to the challenge of producing more affordable housing units, the city is also faced with an aging portfolio of existing deed restricted affordable housing. So the Preserving Affordability subprogram aims to preserve affordable housing by facilitating acquisition of properties with expiring covenants that are either for-profit owned properties, nonprofit owned affordable properties that are being sold or transferred to another nonprofit in order to maintain operations as affordable housing. Eligible applicants will include public entities, local housing authorities, CLTs, LEHCs, and 501c3s with experience or partnership in affordable housing. Projects using this program's funds must be existing residential buildings that have expiring covenants and they have no minimum unit count. Funds can be used for pre-development costs, construction and financing costs, soft costs related to construction, and replacement and operating cost reserves. And we will now take questions and discussions on the acquisition and rehabilitation of affordable housing program, and I will pass it back to Madam Chair.
Any questions from the COC? Hearing none. One last program. 7B6, alternative models for permanent affordable housing.
Woo. Okay, so finally, the last program within the affordable housing programs is the alternative models for a permanent affordable housing program. The ordinance directs 22.5% of the House LA funds to be allocated to the construction of new supportive and affordable rental or mixed rental homeowner projects of 40 units or greater, or for acquisition, rehabilitation, adaptive reuse, lease, preservation, and operation of supportive and or affordable or mixed rental homeowner projects of any size. This program seeks to provide innovative financing and tenant-driven governance in permanent affordable housing developments. The program is innovative in nature and aims to seed a social housing model that will be a major component of the city's future housing stock, ensuring that permanently affordable housing in perpetuity will remain affordable for generations. To achieve these goals, the Alternative Models program has two sub-programs, the New Construction Program and the Preservation Program. Program funds will be allocated for the first 3 years on the following schedule. So year one will have a 40% to preservation and 60% to new construction split. Year two will have a 30% to preservation and 70% to new construction split. And year three will have a 15% to preservation and 85% to new construction split. The new construction program aims to facilitate the production of units and is one part of working towards the city's RHNA or regional housing needs assessment goals for affordable units. This program is envisioned as a vehicle to build beyond the tools of traditional models of housing finance and development and to create a new model that prioritizes speed, flexibility, longevity of investment, and an enhanced role for tenants in their housing. Eligible applicants include public entities, local housing authorities, CLTs, LAHCs, and 501c3s with experience or partnership in affordable housing and tenant governance. New construction projects must be at least 40 affordable units, while adaptive reuse projects have no minimum unit count. Both types of projects must ensure that 20% of the units are restricted to tenants that are either acutely or extremely low income, and funds can be used for acquisition and pre-development costs, construction and financing costs, project development costs, and costs associated with market rate units and operating reserves. So the preservation program, in order to support innovative models of ensuring affordability for generations to come, the preservation program aims to rehabilitate homes in danger of becoming unaffordable by utilizing new financing strategies, tenant ownership models, and longevity of investments. Eligible applicants include public entities, local housing authorities, CLTs, LAHCs, 501c3s with experience or partnership in affordable housing, and tenant governments, and projects must be existing and under significant financial distress or have expiring covenants with no minimum unit size necessary. Funds can also be used for acquisition and pre-development costs, construction and financing costs, project development costs, costs associated with market rate units, and operating reserves. And we will now take questions and discussions on the alternative models for a permanent affordable housing program, and I will pass it back to Madam Chair.
I don't have an amendment for this program in particular, but I do have an overall amendment. And that is, I don't know if you have a slide, Abigail, on this one. Thank you.
Could you add the slide to the screen?
So an edit for all of the programs is regarding branding. So the suggested language is, actually, I'll wait until it comes up. There we go. LAHD, in collaboration with the ULA COC, shall develop and implement a plan to include ULA branding on all program materials. This shall include digital and paper materials, signage, for example, at public workshops or construction sites, and permanent branding on or in housing funded by Measure ULA. Example, permanent sign or plaque. That concludes the amendment. And with that, I will open it to questions and discussions.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to comment on this alternative models program because I think we're in a very exciting moment where together with the acquisition and rehab program and the capacity building program, we're really launching a social housing model here in LA today, which is very exciting. And I really wanted to thank a lot of the organizations that have been working on this. Organizations affiliated with the following coalitions: United to House LA, ACT LA, SCAMP, and the LA Community Land Trust Coalition. And it's not just kind of work to give input on these guidelines or come out today. It's really like years and years of work. We've pulled so many lessons from the field that have, you know, been drawn from really hard work over decades, really, to bring us to this point. And it's just so incredibly exciting that these 3 programs today is going to launch a new social housing program that will be permanently affordable to people of all income levels, let residents make decisions about their own homes, and provide pathways to home ownership rooted in affordability, not profit. So this approach, it may be new to us here in LA and in California, and even kind of on the cutting edge for the whole United States, but social housing has really reduced homes around the whole world, from Vienna to Singapore. Many people around the world are living in affordable homes thanks to social housing, and now LA will have a program. So we have the opportunity now to be transformative. This is going to give folks a permanent place to call home, but also create a new relationship between tenants and their own buildings all across LA. So again, I want to thank LA's Community Land Trust, tenant advocates, affordable housing developers, the city staff, and coalition partners for all the wisdom and heart that got us to this point. We've got a lot of work ahead. Really, the work is just beginning, but this provides a very strong base to launch our work from.
Thank you. I want to uplift something that was said during public comment. ULA and these programs represent an opportunity to sole source affordable housing development and preservation. This will avoid the current system of needing to assemble many small chunks of funding, which will save time and money for developers so we can house people faster. And along those lines, it's really exciting to have guidelines that really come from coalitions and organizations on the ground that support permanent affordability. So.
Thank you. Having considered and discussed item 7B, I will entertain a motion on the proposed program guidelines for the 6 affordable housing programs that we are considering.
With much enthusiasm and excitement, I move the approval of the program guidelines for item 7B, home ownership opportunities, capacity building, operating assistance, multifamily affordable housing, acquisition and rehab of affordable housing, and alternative models for permanent affordable housing. I further move that the Interim Inspector General be directed to transmit the Community Oversight Committee's action to approve these guidelines to the mayor, the city council, and the Los Angeles Housing Department.
I second.
Let's open discussion on the motion. No discussion. The motion to approve having been moved and seconded. Mr. City Attorney. Mr. City.
Thank you, Madam
Would
Chair.
you please call the roll?
Yes. Roll call vote. Madam Chair Espinosa Coulter,
Yes.
Committee Member Gaeta, Committee Member Jones,
Yes.
Committee Member Lipa, Committee Member Morales, Committee Member Raymond, Committee Member Reed,
Yes.
Committee Member Sanchez, and Committee Member Sharma.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes.
I really can't say it enough. Thank you all. Thank you all. Amazing work and so many hours, and can't express enough appreciation. Okay, so that closes item number 7 on the agenda. Moving on to item 8. We can, yes, bring Commissioner Chen back in the room if would somebody, if she's still available to us. Can I can put this? Okay. All right, so agenda item number 8, future action or future agenda items. Does anybody have anything that they want added to the September 12th meeting to be held at 2:30 at MWB? Hearing none. That closes agenda item number 8, and we move to agenda item number 9, which is adjournment. That concludes our agenda. We're now adjourned and we'll convene again here at Metro.
At the Metropolitan Water District.
Okay.
September 12th.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.